Here we go. So here's your graph. We know we have zeros at -1, 0, and 3. They pass right through. So we have x plus 1, x minus 3, multiplicities of 1 on each one. Correct? That makes sense to everybody?
Why is there a C on the X?
That's what we're going to talk about right now. So when I say you have to find the leading coefficient, like actually what is the number, you put a variable at the beginning. In this case, they put a C. Peoples. You put a C right at the front. You can put any variable you want. I don't really care. But C will not get confused with X, okay? They will also tell you a point that you travel through or indicate it on the graph. And they've done both in this case, okay? So if I write it, P of X is equal to C, X plus 1, X minus 3, how can I solve for C? You plug in the point because X is 2 and Y is -24. So -24 is equal to C times 2. 2 plus 1, 2 minus 3. And then you just algebra it. -6C. So C is equal to? I screwed this up. Oh, it's -24. There we go. Pause 4. Sorry, it's -24. Then it works out. So you get C is equal to 4. So the equation of this function is 4x, x plus 1, x minus 3. Does that leading coefficient of 4 make sense for the graph? Why? What are you looking at? When you say yes, what are you looking at for it to make sense? So if I made it -4, would it make sense? Why? Because the right hand is pointing up. So that's what you're looking for. Okay? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so that's all you have to do. You don't. C's the what do you call it? What is C? What does it represent? It's a vertical stretch. Right? That's what it is. That's really what it is. Well, you can call, okay, you want to call it A? All right, we'll call it A. It is. It's both, right? This is this graph is this graph. Don't write this down. If you sketch that graph, x plus 1, x minus 3, and you wanted to stretch it by a factor of 4 vertically, you would just put a 4 in front. Right? That's really all we're doing. But I'm not asking for the vertical stretch or anything. I just want to know. I just want to know what the leading coefficient of the graph is. We're not doing transformations or anything with this. Okay? But if you wanted to relate it to that, that's what that number is. All right, next page. So this one, they give you the graph. They say, find the equation. That's all they say. So you have to pull all the information from the graph. So the first thing we need to pull is the X-Intercepts. What are the X-Intercepts? Okay, so -2. What's happening at -2? Point of inflection. So what does that mean the multiplicity of that is? It means it's cubic. Because they tell us this is the lowest possible degree. So if it's lowest possible degree, use all the low multiplicities. What about 2? What's its multiplicity? 1. So I just leave it. We got to find the leading coefficient. Are we using A? Yes. Okay. It's an A value. Now, we need to know a point that it goes through. Do we know a point it goes through?
Quick question. Do we have to put X behind the A?
Nope. The only reason you had X in this one is because it passes through the origin. Okay. Right? What point do we know? No, those are the x-intercepts, which are accounted for in these two. You know the y-intercept. You know this point right here.
Oh, yeah.
And these go up by 5, 10, 15, 20, 4s. So this is -4. So it has a value of 0 and -4. That is the point that we're using. -8. I can count. It's going up by 4s, isn't it?
Yeah.
4, 16, 12. No. 4, 8, 12, 16. There we go. -8. I can count. Sometimes. On a test, I will make it very clear. I won't make you figure out the graph or the scale because apparently I can't figure out the scale. So, what do I do with those 2 points or that 1 point? Plug them in, and then you algebra it. 0 is nice because it just clears everything. 8. So what's my a value? 1/2. So the equation is 1/2 x plus 2 cubed x minus 2. Does that a value of 1/2 make sense?
So we would also place the x.
You place the x with 0, right? And the y with -8. It does make sense because it's an even degree function and the right hand is up.
No, that does make sense. I'm just saying, in the other page, you wrote like px is equal to 4, and then it was fx there. I thought you did. C4. Yeah, you put 4. You put 4x.
What? I don't know what I'm looking at.
Okay, so you wrote px is equal to 4x brackets x plus 1 x minus 3.
Yeah. Are you asking why this x is here?
Yeah.
Because it goes to the origin, right?
Right.
You can write x minus 0 if you want, but that's kind of...
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Annalise.
So like for the like when you pick the other points for like on this one you pick 0 and then -8.
Mhm.
So why did you pick the one going through the Y-intercept versus like on the other one where you didn't one that was going to the Y-intercept?
Whereas this one,
Yeah, like for that one, like
this one they tell you this point.
Yeah.
You don't want to use any of the x-intercepts
Right.
because if you use an x-intercept, like say I use this point right here, right? That's -2, 0. So if I put -2 into here, I'm going to get -2 plus 2, which is 0, and then you're multiplying everything, so you get 0. It all goes away. So you can't use an x-intercept. It has to be another point. All right?
Can we just choose any one of them?
It'll be pretty clear on the graph which point I want you to use because you have to use an actual point the graph goes through. But I'll either tell you or I'll make the x-intercept or the y-intercept really clear. Okay. All right. Now, words to equations, everybody's favorite. Determine the equation in factored form of a 4th degree polynomial function which passes through the point 1 and -12. That is your x value. That is your y value. Is tangent. If it's tangent, what's the multiplicity?
2.
Yes, so that's a multiplicity of 2. Multiplic equals 2. At 2, 0 and -3, 0. Okay? So, what do I write?
The x-intercept would be, sorry, like the x-intercept thing would be x minus 2 and x plus 3.
Okay, so our x-intercepts are x minus 2 and x plus 3. What do I have to do to those? What do I have to put on them? Yeah, put squares because they are both tangents. So you have 2's and 2's. We'll put our a value or a c value or whatever you want to call it out front. Now what do I do? Plug in your x, y's. So you got negative 12 is equal to 16a.
Oh.
Did we mess up algebra?
No, I messed up that calculation.
Reduce it. Negative 3/4. Okay. So we're going to sketch this, just even though they didn't ask us, we're going to do it anyway. So 2, negative 3. The equation of the graph is negative 3/4 x minus 2 squared x plus 3 squared. Okay, what's the degree of this graph? 4. What's the leading coefficient? Negative. So both arms have to be down. So we come up, we have a bounce, we have a bounce. Graph looks like that. How can you check your answer? Find the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is when x is 0. So it's negative 3/4 times 4 times 9. 4s will cancel. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. Does that make sense? All right. It does because it's negative. And that's the way we do a graph. Okay?
Would you want us to write the y-intercept?
On a test, I'll ask for the y-intercept. So I'll literally say, show me the y-intercept. If I don't, you don't have to do it. But it would be like, it's like a test question for you. Or it's a way to test to see if you drew it correctly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes?
You have like the negative 27. It doesn't matter how low or high you drew.
No, because you're just sketching it with no scale.
You
So
can make it like really close to the line.
I don't really care. All right. 1 to 4, please.